Merrill Watley, he was my first co-conspirator in this process, and I might have forced him to talk about Facebook. So I'm really grateful that he still continued to want to be a part of this day.
Well, and one thing I want to kind of set this up a little bit by saying this is going to start off in a place where for a lot of you, it's probably going to be like, well, of course we know that. But it's going to quickly go into other areas. Facebook is interesting. I have a really sophisticated rector who called me this past week, who was confused because he said, I need our Facebook login for our church. And I was like, well, it's just yours. He's like, no, I need the one for the church. And it's a kind of fundamental misunderstanding, but it's based in something that used to be true about Facebook. So anyway, I'm going to start with some real basics, then we're going to create a page together. And here, I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to get started. So just one moment.
All right, so let's talk about Facebook. First of all, here's how most people use Facebook. They log in, they check out pictures and things from their friends and comment on it, and then they go about their day. And since we're inside all the time now, people might spend a little bit more time on there, but you get the idea. When people first started wanting to put their churches on Facebook, or businesses or whatever, they had to put them on as a profile as well, because pages didn't exist. And then they started making pages and groups, and then people started saying, well, what's a page and what's a group and what's the difference? And it can be kind of confusing, especially if your normal interaction is what we first described there, that you log in, you check things out, and you move on. If your church's Facebook identity is one that people have to become friends with, then you have a profile and not a page. And what you want is a page. And there's a lot of good reasons to have a page. The difference between the two starts with, instead of someone becoming friends with it, someone likes it. Another thing is that for you, you don't have to log in as the church and remember another password and share it with other people who are going to manage the church's page. You just log in as yourself like you normally would, and you're able to go and manage it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to set up a page from the very beginning. Later we're going to talk about groups. We'll get back to that. One of the nice things about when you set up a page is that not only can you administer that page, but you can give other people administrative rights to the page as well. So it could be that you have some people who only post on the page and you don't want them to have access to be able to remove other administrators of the page or to change any of the page's settings. So there are different levels that you can ascribe to people so that when they go to manage your page, they can do what you want them to be able to do. So let's start by creating a page. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to come in here on Facebook, and I'm going to go into Pages, which is in the menu here, and I'm going to say I want to create a new page. All right. So you'll see when you get here, it sets you up with a way to start looking at what it's going to look like and everything, and you got to put stuff over here. So I'm going to just make up a church. I'm going to call it All Saints Ventura. Category, I'm going to say church. All right. And it says you can add up to 3 categories. Let's see if we have any other good. Episcopal Church, there we go. And then a description. I'm going to say, all right, here we go. And now I'm going to click Create Page. All Saints Ventura was created. You can now add images or go to a page to add more information. So here is where I can now come in, put in the address. I can create the large background image for the page, the profile image for the page, and so on and so forth. So right now I'm just going to click Save. All right, and you can see the page because I want to be able to get in here and start showing you how we can add other people to manage this page as well. All right, so I'm going to go in here to Settings. Okay, So you've got this menu here, which has a lot of little options inside of it. And there are a lot of things to look at here that we can talk about. What's the best setting for this, and so on and so forth. One of the things I would draw attention to is visitor posts. But if you're thinking about people from your church being able to share with each other, that's more of a group activity rather than a page activity. So what I would do typically is I either review posts by other people before they're published to the page, or I just disable them altogether. So either you want to review it before they're published to the page, or you just want to disable it altogether. It's really not anything I would worry about too much. I would just go ahead and disable it. It makes your life a little bit easier. You're still going to have other people who are able to post to your page, because you're going to come over here in the left-hand side, and you're going to go to page roles. And when you go to page roles, you're able to assign people to be able to administer your page. And there are different levels here. There's administrator, editor, a moderator, an advertiser, and an analyst. If you want someone to be able to post to your page, they need to either be an editor or an admin. But know that if they're an admin, they can add and remove other people, including you. So just be aware of that. All right, so I'm going to add another admin to this page, though. I want someone to have the same permissions as me, and I want them to be able to do anything I can to add other people. And I'm going to add my friend Lisa Brown to be an admin of this page. It's a whole lot easier to add somebody if you personally are friends with them. Keep in mind, I am logged in as me, and I'm administering this page. So I'm adding Lisa as an administrator, and it wants me to retype in my password. I think that's it. That was my password. All right, good. So now Lisa is pending, has administrative rights to this page once she accepts it. Okay, now if I want to go back to my page really quick, okay, I'm going to be doing two things. Number one, I'm going to be adding a profile picture right here where you see the A for All Saints Ventura. And then I'm going to be adding a cover photo, which is this banner photo area up here. All right, so let's start with this. I'm going to edit profile picture. I'm going to click upload photo, and I chose this picture of a church that I love. And then let me just reposition this. And when you do this, if you need to crop it in some way, if you want to zoom in or zoom out or whatever, they give you the option to do those things. All right, so I'm going to save that. All right, and then I'm going to upload a photo for this area. And I'm uploading just a public domain picture from Ventura, which is where this church supposedly is. Okay, so you may have noticed that when you come to upload a cover photo, that you have other options. You could do just a photo that you upload. You could also do a video. You can create a slideshow. So there are different things you can put up here. I wouldn't put too much thought into it. Sometimes it can be cool and kind of, eye-catchy or whatever. Maybe at Easter time you have like a little slideshow that goes by, or maybe you have a short video. Unless you have something really great that is just some good background video of showing people walking into the church or whatever. Again, completely inappropriate for right now, but you know what I mean. All right, so now we have created the page, we've added a profile picture, and we've added a cover photo. And there's one other thing that I want to look at. All right, so if you look up in the URL bar, you're going to see that I've highlighted what comes after facebook.com. And it says All Saints Ventura, and then it has a long string of numbers. You're going to want something a little bit easier to remember. This is known as your handle. You're at All Saints Ventura 106 906 8044 38260. That's not exactly very memorable. So what we want to do is to update that and change it to something a little bit snappier and a little bit easier to remember. It's also really helpful if it's something that you might use in other places. For instance, if you have Twitter or Instagram, or just your domain name. Anything that makes it easy for people to find you. All right, so let's come in here. I'm going to go to Edit Page Info. You're going to see they have name and they have username. It's what I just called a handle. It's also known as a username. All right, so we're going to say, we're going to try All Saints Ventura. And we have a little green check mark. That means that it's all good. So perfect. Now, ways for people to contact you. You want to have this, and this is very, very helpful. All right, so I'll do 805-555-1212. Not a real phone number. And then I can also add an email address and so forth, just to keep from upsetting Facebook too much. I'm not going to do all this. And then you also want to put your location in. This also helps people find you more easily, and it helps people verify that it's you on this Facebook page, that it is your church. All right, so now we're going to come down. Once we've entered things, it's already saved. So now we should be able to go back to the page. And now that we're home, you're going to see up here in the URL bar, it's facebook.com/AllSaintsVentura. Okay, so now your page is set up. You have a profile picture, you have a cover picture, cover photo, whatever they like to call it. And now you have nobody following your page. So there's a couple of things that you can do. Number one, you can come down and see the friends that you have listed, and you can just start inviting them left and right to come and invite your page. And that's great. Not a problem there. Another thing that you can do is you can take this address that you've created, facebook.com/AllSaintsVentura in this case, and you can put that in your email newsletter that you send out, and you can tell people, go like the page. Now, what's great about people liking your page is that then they're going to be notified when you do things. They're going to be notified when you have a live service. They're going to be notified when you do a post. If you're doing good communication through your email newsletter, through your website and stuff like that, this is going to be something that really weaves into that very well. And you get people liking the page, and they're going to be the ones that share it. They're going to be able to share it with their friends. But for now, we need to get people to start following this page. All right, so first thing, like we said, come down, invite people to like it. The second thing that you can do is you can put it in your email newsletter that you send out. You can put it in your bulletin, and you can just say to people at the church, hey, I want you to like it. You can go to your vestry and say, you have to like it. You can do whatever it is you need to do to start getting people liking your page. I want to post something here on Facebook from the church. Keep in mind, let me back all the way out of this for 1 second, that I can come back here to Facebook, the home page, my normal view, and I can come in and start posting something, and it's just something from me, and it's just going out to Facebook from me. But this is not coming from the church, so I need to go to the church's page. All right, so now I am here at the All Saints Ventura page, and I know that I can now create a post, and it will be on this page, because of course I'm an administrator of this page. Okay, I come in to create a post. I've posted this, or I'm going to post this, but if I just post that, there's nothing for people to connect to, there's nothing for people to see, there's nothing engaging here. So I do want to put a photo with it, probably. I might want to put it as a large, silly text thing with a background. Let's just go with something pretty simple here, like this, purple, or I can do these leaves. Oh, that's a nice one for Palm Sunday anyway. But also it's nice for Ventura because we have a lot of palm trees around here. So I'm going to go with that. Don't forget, service is online only this Sunday, July 19th. Now I could also do a photograph, so on and so forth. So I'm going to post this now. Okay. I am not going to create an event. It will ask you this sometimes. If you say a date within a post, it'll be like, oh, do you want to create an event for that so that people can sign up for it? Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't. You'll just have to make that decision as you go along. I think when we're having events that we want to promote, that we want people to sign up for, then it makes sense. I think when we're talking about something that is just ongoing, like a service, like what we're doing here, we don't want to create an expectation that people are going to have to sign up every week for something like that and wear people out online. We want to do a little bit of that best practice stuff. So I'm going to say not now. All right, don't forget, service is online only this Sunday, July 19th. Okay, so now anyone who's following this, who's following me, who's following this church, will see this post.
All right, so we're going to shift gears really quick because one thing that people are interested in for this, especially in this time, is live streaming. There's a couple of different things you can do. We're going to end up talking about all three of them, and this sort of intersects a little bit with Sarah and with Paul on the things that we all are going to be talking about. I have three different options for going live. Number one, you can use software on a computer or software in a Mevo camera or something like that, where you can input certain data, a stream key and a URL, and once you put that information in, as long as the stream key is live over here on Facebook, then you're going to be able to broadcast live from that software. And usually what that means, you have a camera hooked up to a computer and the computer is broadcasting it, or some sort of streaming box or something like that. The second way, and the one that we're going to talk about first, just because, is using the camera on your laptop. And the third way is using Zoom. And with Zoom, you can go live to Facebook. Sarah's going to talk more about that. I'm just going to mention it briefly.
You can get the stream key, which is this here, and you can get the server URL, and you put that information into your streaming software, and you can use it then to stream directly live to Facebook. Another thing you can do, as Sarah will show you in Zoom, is you can click to go live directly to Facebook from Zoom, and you will give Zoom permissions to connect to Facebook, and then once it does, when you have a Zoom meeting going, you can click to go live. Here, you can also use the camera that's attached to your computer. In this case, it's the one that I'm talking to right now. I'm going to click Use Camera. There we go. And you can preview, if you scroll up, what you're going to see, what people are going to see when you go live. I do not like seeing that. I think I'm like most people that way. Okay, now, once you decide how you're going to stream, what you're going to do, then you're going to go over to the left side of the page here. You're going to give the video a title. I'm going to call this Friday Morning Afternoon on the East Coast. And this is a demonstration for folks online. Alright, and now I'm going to click to go live. And you're going to see I get a countdown over here in the corner, 3, 2, 1, and now I am live. I am streaming live on Facebook right now. Now there's a delay, so I'm doing it at this very moment, and then a few seconds later is when people are going to see it because it gets all encoded up in the little Facebook cloud and everything. But now I'm live. If you look over there in the lower right hand corner, you'll see that it shows I'm live, and you'll see that I know that I'm live because it's telling me big red button live. Alright, now as soon as I'm ready to end the live video, I will, but I want to show you a couple of other things. They have a tab on your page now that makes it really easy for people to find you on a Sunday morning. All you have to do is say, go to your normal Facebook address, which is, as you recall from earlier, I changed our handle, so it's facebook.com/allsaintsventura, and you just go to /live. So you can tell people at 10 o'clock, go to our church /live on Facebook. Send them the address. That'll make things a little bit easier. And then they can just click on that, and there you are. After this video is over, these things get saved. They can be watched later, so people don't have to catch it right when it's live. I'm going to click End Live Video now. Alright. You know, how do I feel about this? I don't really know. I'm just going to say it was great. I think it was pretty great. Oh man, that's a nice still shot. I'm really glad that that's what they chose. Just know that you can actually update things like that, because you're going to end up with something that's every bit as good, if not better, than this. Alright. Anyway, alright, so now we've had this live event, and let's go back to the page. You can go up here in the address bar and say All Saints Ventura. This may not be processed yet, but it is. Oh, look, and even better. Even better. So this is what is now on the page. People can come back later and check it out. Okay, that's how you do a live video. Now, what if you wanted to record a video and upload it? We're going to talk about that next.
Okay, I am back. Hold on one second. Let me get my video back. All right. So, did I stop screen sharing? I think I did.
You did. You're good to
Yes.
go.
Fantastic. All right. So there were a couple of questions that came up during that because I sort of skipped over a couple of things a little too quickly. So first of all, there was a question: where did I find the live option? So let me share my screen and I'll show you that. Okay. When you come in, let's see, I found it, of course, really easily last night. Here we go. You'll see here it says Create Live. This is, just below the main section, where we were showing just a moment ago, just underneath where you could create a post. Then you can come in and you can create a bunch of different things. And we're just going to stick with talking about the video right now. This is where you click to start doing a live event. And then it takes you to those options that we were talking about, using the stream key or using the camera. Sarah, again, will be, I'm assuming, Sarah, that you'll be talking about this. We'll be talking a little bit about how you can do it from Zoom. It's a whole lot simpler from there, because once you set it up, you don't have to worry about coming and grabbing these keys and everything every time. There was another question about how do you change the screen, this wonderful still frame that they have for me here. So you're going to see over here publishing tools. Sometimes it depends on how on your page. Some of the pages don't really have publishing tools still over here. It might have the Creator Studio. But I'm going to come in here and we'll see what we can find. This is a whole section of the site that they are still in the process of sort of putting together. So if I come in, I can look at this post. Let me go look at the videos. Here we go. We'll go into the video library inside the publishing tools once again. And I can edit the video here. And one of the things you can do is then you can come in to where the thumbnail is. You can choose another thumbnail, or you can upload an image. When you do upload an image, you're going to want it to be, 16 by 9, sort of setup in order to be able to see, for it to fill the frame, unless you're doing a different type of video, like a vertical video or something, which I don't really recommend. So anyway, that's all there is to that. There was also one question that someone had, and I'm going to put the link, but she mentioned that she had been invited, here, let me move this for me, that she had been invited to administer her page, but had not seen the invitation. One thing that Facebook doesn't tell you is there's actually a link for that, and I think I have it bookmarked. We're going to find out. Let's see. Yes, I do. And this is it. You go to facebook.com/pages, and then !category equals invites. I'm going to put this in the chat box so that you've got that. And I just got to get myself back to the chat box. Hold on one moment. Okay, there are a few other questions I want to answer here, so let me back up. Okay. I can't find the Facebook Live on my church page. I see the add video and Facebook Live on my personal page. And this is Andrea Ford, who's writing this. I'd have to see your personal experience. I would need to know, Andrea, if you are an administrator and so forth. Let's see, my page didn't look like yours, but there is a more button where I found the publishing tools. Okay, great. Yeah, there is this new sort of way that you're able to go and you can opt into the new Facebook. And so some of you may not be there yet. You can also, at some point, they're going to force you into the new Facebook. So just know that it's going to look like this at some point. All right, how do I know if my existing church's Facebook account is a page or a user profile? If you have the ability, if you log in as yourself and then you're able to go to the page to administer it, then it is a page. But if you have to log in with a special login that takes you just directly to it, and people can't like the page, people have to friend it, that sort of thing, that's how you know that it is a profile and not a page. A lot of people had this issue when they started adding pages, where they had a lot of people who had already friended their church, so they were friends with it, and they said, oh goodness, I don't want to create a page because I'm going to lose all those people or whatever. But the number of things that you're able to do with a page is so much greater than what you're able to do with a profile. And you're able to be a lot more public. You're able to, have other people manage it, like we said, and so forth. So those sorts of things are big advantages. So if you find out that you do have a profile, and if you have any questions, you can drop the link in here, and we can take a look at it and let you know. Let's see, Melanie, I see we run our pre-recorded service live via Facebook on Sundays, and sometimes I see all the activity in the chats and sometimes not. All right, that's a great question. A lot of times when you're looking at the chat on a live video, and Sarah and Shamika, both feel free to jump in on this as well. When you're looking at a live video, or you're running the live chat on a live video, you might have it set where, number one, you're only seeing the top comments or things like that. But number two, what's more commonly going on is that the privacy settings of the people who are watching the video are such that they do not see, that you do not see their comments because you're not friends with them. And that's just a kind of a tough thing about this. It's a place where they haven't quite figured out maybe the right mix for privacy versus accessibility on that. But let's see, Melanie, I think that is probably what's going on in your situation.
And there was a question from Ellen as well, right before Melanie's question, about if you can use Premiere Video and a watch party simultaneously.
Yes, you can. And I haven't talked yet about Premiere, so I'm going to talk about that really quick before we go into groups. Genevieve, hold that question because we're going to talk about groups in just 1 second. And anyway, I want you to kind of, we'll talk about the difference between a group and a page. And the good news is that you can start a page and then you can link the group to that page. So anyway, we'll talk about that in a sec. Premieres. Okay, I am a huge proponent for doing a video premiere for a number of reasons. Now, if you're going from Zoom and you're doing it live, you're doing it at the time of the service and everything, it totally makes sense to Zoom to Facebook and kind of broadcast it that way. But if you are putting things together a little bit differently, say you have people sending in videos from different places. I work with a church where they use Dropbox, and they have the organist record his piece. He puts it up, and then 4 singers each get it. They each sing their part. Person mixes it all together. Really complex stuff that they're doing. But then they also have readers reading from their own homes and so on and so forth. And they all record it. They stitch it together on Thursday or Friday, and they upload it as a premiere on Facebook. Now, a video premiere, the way that differs from a live video is that, number one, you've already done it, but the way that it's the same as a live video is it behaves the same way on its first broadcast. So Facebook encodes things in a weird way on the back end in ways that you wouldn't necessarily see. They have videos as live, and then they have them as VOD, or video on demand, after you complete a viewing. So when the premiere when the premiere is shown, it behaves as a live video, meaning people can't fast forward into it. They can rewind, so it's just like you with, this is so outdated what I'm about to say, TiVo, or when you can pause live television. You can't go into the future and see what's happening in the future. You can only, pause or rewind it. I know TiVo. So the number of things that can go wrong with a live recording or a live broadcast are numerous. Your internet can go out. The internet of one person can go out. Your upload stream may be really slow and clogged. If people are trying to do it on Wi-Fi instead of connecting with an Ethernet cable, their video quality is more likely to get some interference and so on and so forth. And if you just record to begin with, you're getting the full quality piece. You're uploading that. And then there's not anything that can happen outside of some meltdown over at Facebook that's going to keep it from being able to be broadcast. You don't have to worry about something going wrong on your end. And if you have been doing live videos and you have the option of pre-recording, it will be so amazing how relieved you are on Sunday mornings that you don't have to be worried about so many things. And the other thing that you can do, there was that question about the live party, the live watch party during a premiere. The other thing you can do is you can be there. You can be with the people who are watching the video, and it's a great experience. You're actually able to interact. What a lot of churches do, whether it's live or it is a premiere, and I'm assuming, Melanie, that you would be doing this, they have someone who's essentially an online usher, someone that can welcome people, that might add a little color commentary during the service if necessary, and also answer people's questions. So stuff like that is really great. Another thing that I would suggest, and Facebook doesn't make this super easy, but keep in mind that when you're doing things on Facebook, you're in their environment. It is possible for you to, whether you're streaming live or you're running a premiere, however you're doing it, it is possible for you to get an embed code for the video and put it on your website. And the reason that I like that as an option, even though it's a lot easier for people to find your live video by just going to your Facebook page /live, but the reason I like it as an option to put it on your website is you might have a link to your bulletin right there. You might have a button to give. You know, you can make an appeal, you know, for people to give and so on and so forth in your video. And also people can learn more about your church because they're in your environment. That's something I will include in the material. I'm not going to go over how to do that right now because it can be kind of complicated. But I want you to be able to I want you to know that that's something that is available to you, and it may serve you really well. We have one church that we tested this with, doing it only on Facebook 1 week, and the next week doing it on their site, and their giving for that week went, and this is for real, from $65 to $850 the next week. And it was very early in the shutdown. So it was a good test, and the giving only went up after that once more and more people started figuring out how to go to church on Sundays in this new world. I'm going to leave it to Sarah, but yes, Zoom to YouTube, it's the exact same process. All you got to do is get it set up in the first place, and it's pretty easy to do after that. And let's see, did I have any other questions? Could we touch on Pages newsfeed?
Yeah, there was one from Kara about the Pages newsfeed.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yeah, we could talk about it. You know, I'm going to start first by going into groups, and I'm definitely going to open this up to others to chime in as well on some of these specific things about Facebook. And how do you set up the premiere and watch party all together at once? And Sarah, are you? Yeah. Do you want to address that really quick?
I was just like listening in. So those are two separate things. So they are also two separate functions. I know that it sounds like you should be able to do them at the same time, but a premiere you can set up in advance. A watch party you cannot. Meryl, am I on the right track? Is that where you were headed to? If you can see, I always like it when Meryl is like, yes. That's always a good day in my book. Shamika's like, yes, you're good too. So a premiere, like Meryl said, is where you preload the video, and then there's like a nice little countdown. People can sort of like be like, oh, I'm gonna watch that. Like I'm gonna watch my service at 10 a.m. And a watch party is when you invite people to watch with you. And so a premiere can be set up in advance. A watch party cannot be, because a watch party is really me saying, hey, Shamika and Meryl, come on over and watch my service with me. And so that can mean, and so then that way, like it is exactly what it sounds like. You're inviting people over to your house to watch a video, except it's within Facebook land. And so because you're inviting people, it cannot be set up in advance. It needs to be in the moment. And so I, as an individual, can set up a watch party, or I, as my departmental profile, can set up a watch party. And so it really is saying, hey, come and watch this with me. And then you can get some nice comments going of like, oh, I love that sermon. Oh, that song was really beautiful. And so then that way it like fosters a little community around it. You can also you can also add in a watch party within a group. So I know a lot of churches have groups set up for sort of that internal communication structure. And so you can sort of invite the entire group too, which is definitely something that I would recommend.
Yeah, and that's
Anything else you want to add? What did I forget? That's always a good option.
I'm looking at you, Shamika. You good?
Yeah, that was great.
Okay.
And I do have a video on that I'd be happy to share as well.
All right. So the pros and cons, well, I mean, the pros of doing a premiere, I should say, as opposed to doing something live. But again, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And when we move towards doing things in churches, there was a question earlier about PTZ cameras and setups and all that. How to set that up for live streaming and so on and so forth. Don't forget, we've got a couple more Fridays that we're going to be doing Q&A and so forth on this. And I think that it's going to be a great opportunity to go deeper on some of these questions. I think that we're going to back up a little bit here to try to keep this, sort of still at the introductory level, but these are great questions, and we'll hit as many as we can today. But I do want to get to groups also. So I'm going to go back and start sharing my screen again, but this time it'll be live. Let's see. Where's Facebook? There we go. All right. So here we are back on the All Saints Ventura page. And one of the things that we want to be able to do is to number one, add a group from a page, a group that doesn't yet exist. There's a second thing you can do, which is you can connect an existing group to your page. So Genevieve's question earlier was about, hey, our church just has a private group. Can we do this stuff to the group? What I would suggest is kind of saying, hey, let's go create a page for our church. That's something that can be more open. It's not closed like your group is. It's something that you can kind of promote the church, reach out to your community. There was another question about how do we engage with others from our page and so forth. And we'll talk about that a little bit. But what you do want to have a way that people who aren't already, part of the club, so to speak, can find your church, can interact and get involved. So creating the page, which is what we started with here. And now I'm going to go and we're going to look at groups. Now I created a group already, but we can ignore that for a moment. We can say, okay, there's a group out there that we already have, and I want to link it to this page, or I want to just create a group. So Genevieve, in your case, you would want to link the group that you also have administrative rights to. And when you do that, then you will be able to bring it in to this page so that people can come to the page. And then within the groups themselves, there are all sorts of ways that you can kind of grant membership. You can allow any member who's already in the group to allow other people into the group. You can say everybody has to be approved by an administrator or moderator is what they typically call it in the group. Or you can just allow anyone to join, or you can set up questions. And the questions can be sort of, the 3 questions that you have to ask the troll under the bridge in order to cross the bridge type thing. For a church, that feels a little too insidery. I like the idea of anyone who's already in the group being able to admit other people. But one thing is groups can be tricky. You just got to be careful to make sure that you've got good ground rules, that you state them really clearly. You know, I'd start by saying something about no politics, you know, sort of thing, in a nicer way. So anyway, I'm going to create a linked group here. I'm going to give this group a name. Now, I've already got one called All Saints Ventura, but this one I'm going to call All Saints Music Society. Did I spell that right? I did. Okay. And then I'm going to say this is a private group. Only members can see who's in the group and what they post. A public group is just completely wide open. Anyone who comes to your page on Facebook and finds the group can go in and see anything that people post. Again, that's all about which group it is and what its purpose is and so forth. In this case, I'm just going to say, for whatever reason, that this is private. Now, keep in mind, you can create all sorts of different things. You could create support groups that are invitation only, that are not visible when people come to the page. People who aren't in the group don't know it exists. You could hide it. So there's a lot of options that you've got here. And then I could come in and start adding people to be members of this group. But I'm going to start by just saying create the group. And I have now, just like that, created a group that is connected or linked to the page. All right, so there are different ways to, as I was saying, get members to be approved when you add them to the group or when they want to be added to the group. If I click automatic member approvals, you have to set up requirements for that. Once you do, future pending members that have what's required for your group will be instantly added. Okay, so let's click this button. And this is where you can say, oh, are they friends with someone that's already in the group? Have they been on Facebook for at least a year, so we're not getting people who just create an account and come in to spam us or whatever? Is this, are they within 25 miles of where we are, so on and so forth. So you can set, if you wanted to do automatic member approvals, you could set up things like this to allow for people to automatically be approved. You can also come in here to member requests. There are none right now, but you'll see if people have requested to be members, and you can approve them here. Membership questions is what I was talking about, where you can add the troll under the bridge questions. And here you'll see, you know, ask a question, you can put check boxes, or you can say it's a multiple choice or a written answer, whatever it may be, that people have to answer correctly in order to get into the group. I was saying earlier it's kind of insidery, and it is. It could also be seen as sort of like the CAPTCHA stuff, you know, that keeps bots from getting in or whatever. Again, I'm not too crazy about this one though. I'm gonna exit that. All right, and then there were a couple of other things, and I want to make sure that I find them. I think it's in the settings. First of all, we had talked about group rules. Use rules to help set the tone for your group and help prevent member conflict. This is where you just kind of set the ground rules for people. What I would do is I would look at, you know, any other groups you belong to, and try to find good examples of things that you think, oh, that's well written and that's positive, and it doesn't sound, you know, like we're, you know, getting on to people immediately. But finally, down here in settings, there are a few things you can do. Number one, you can customize the web address just like we did for the one we looked at earlier. So I'm going to say ASV music. There we go. And I will save that. Once your group hits 5,000 members, you won't be able to customize it again. I wouldn't worry about that in this particular case. And then there was one bit about who can join it. Here we go. Who can join your group? Now, this is tricky in that you could say, can people and pages join the group, or can only people join the group? This will come back to how you're interacting with other organizations. Maybe the particular group that you have, you know, this one's music, and it might make sense to say pages can do it because there's a, you know, South Bay Conservatory or something like that. That is another place that, you know, we may want to have some interaction with here. I want to catch up on these questions I'm saying. All right, I see that. Okay, so you guys are answering that. Thank you so much. A lot of times with church groups, I would say you only want people to be joining the group, only allow people to ask to join the group. Because again, we're talking about members of the church, but in your own case, you will be able to kind of make that decision of what works best for you. So anyway, I'm going to say only people can join this group. Oh no, wait, this is the music one. Sure, we'll say that it can stay that way. The reason I hit cancel is because I wasn't changing anything when I did that. Anyone can post, and there's another thing here about approving member posts. If you want to make your life terrible, turn that on. But you know, the other thing is if you when all posts are automatically approved, in other words, members can post directly to the group, which is how it's set right now. You just want to make sure that you have somebody in there, again, kind of like an usher at your church, who's going in, and I hate to use the word policing that, but who's just kind of keeping their eye on things and making sure everything's staying civil and that it is reflecting what you want to be reflected of your church community. Again, I want to talk one more time and just stress the fact that you can create a group that is both private and hidden. And if you do that, it's a great thing for support groups. It's you know, something that right now I think groups are super important on Facebook, a lot more than they used to be, because your people aren't able to hang out as they were before. Yes, they can do Zoom. People have different comfort levels with that. And also they have different comfort levels of who they're sharing things with. You may still have some of these support group meetings happening over Zoom and stuff like that, and that's great. But also giving people a private place to have these conversations, to ask questions to each other and to go a little bit deeper, I think is a really wonderful thing. So kind of backing out of all this for a moment, I know we're going to have more questions. I just want to say that everything that Sarah is going to be talking about, everything that Paul is going to be talking about, and everything to do with Facebook, Zoom, and videos, obviously, it's a lot more important than it used to be. I think that's why everybody's here right now. And I think that the deeper reason that we're all here, it's not just because we want to be good at it. It's not to compete with other people who are doing it. It's to be there for our congregations. I do get a lot of, I have in the past gotten a lot of pushback from people saying, does everyone need to be live streaming? And of course, I don't think everyone needs to be live streaming. I like the idea of them recording their services and putting them up online. But there are a lot of small churches that we work with that we've had to work really hard at getting the rector, for instance, to stop broadcasting her service only to her private or to her personal Facebook profile. And it can be a hard thing to do, again, if you're not used to the sort of process of going in and saying, I'm going live. I'm just going to go log into Facebook and I'm going to click go live. You want to go log into Facebook, go to your page, and then click go live if you're going to do it in that fashion. When you connect Zoom to Facebook, as Sarah's going to show you. Okay, Vicky, I see your question there. Sorry, I stopped. If you're going to connect Zoom to Facebook, as Sarah's going to show you, you're going to have to make sure that you're connecting it to your page and not to your personal profile. It still happens all the time. And there are so many church services that when they go through a person's profile only, what ends up happening is it cannot be shared as widely. People might not be able to reshare it depending on your own personal privacy settings. Matter of fact, as a person, you do want to have good privacy settings. As a page, you want to be as open to people being able to find you as possible. So when, in addition to this video and the sort of pre-recorded piece that you saw earlier, we're going to have a lot of this information in a slideshow that's just a bunch of bullet points for you saying, all right, these are the things that you want to remember. Here's a checklist when you log in. I want to go to my page. I want to start from there. When I post something, I want to post it to my page. And there are a lot of things that, because I wanted to talk more about video and so forth, that we didn't cover too much. So let me go over a couple of quick things about posting to Facebook. And again, these notes will be included the slideshow PDF, whatever it is that we send to you tomorrow afternoon. And this doesn't mean I'm lying. This means we hope. So this will be included for tomorrow afternoon. One is when you are posting things to Facebook, if you're just posting an announcement or something like that, I made quick mention of doing something to make it a little bit more eye-catching. But one thing that's really helpful is to try to include pictures with your posts. It's much more engaging than just a wall of text or a small tiny piece of text that people might see. When you post with images to Facebook, you want to be able to do it in such a way that you know what's going to show when people see it. So there are dimensions of your pictures that won't get cropped if you set them to certain dimensions. So the kind of gold standard dimensions of your image are 1200 pixels by 630 pixels, 1200 wide by 630 pixels tall. I'm doing that from memory. Wait for the PDF to make sure I'm right, but I'm pretty sure that it's 1200 by 630. That will show full width in a news feed. The top and bottom won't get cropped. The sides won't get cropped. The picture will be exactly what you expect it to be. You can also do a square image. I believe those dimensions, if you want it to show as is, are 500 by 500. If you put a 500 by 500 image, it will show up in the newsfeed with the image next to the text that you're sharing. If you do the 1200 by 630, you'll have the image with the text underneath it. 1280 by 720 with StreamYard, what that's probably referring to, that's 720p. And I'm answering a question from Louis Crusoe. That is for your video. Is that for StreamYard, I'm assuming? So that's kind of the 16 by 9 dimensions that you would have. Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about pictures that you may be posting, and that's the 1200 by 630 is the exact size of the images that Facebook will show. So if you did a 1200 by 720, the top and bottom would get cropped off just a little bit if it's just an image. Now, if you're posting a video, you definitely want to do the 1280 by 720. And there's, I forget what the 1080 one is. There are different, settings you can do. No worries. Okay, so we've got 7 or 8 minutes left. I'm sure that either panelists or folks will have a few more questions. So let's go at it.
Yes, so there's 2 questions. There's the one question from Vicky about creating rooms in Facebook. And then Regina also has a question about, is there a place to see who has liked your page?
Okay, I want to do that in reverse order. The place to see who has liked your page. I got to be honest with you, in this latest incarnation of the Facebook pages, I'm not sure where you see that. I
think it's under notifications.
Yeah, but I think you can see it there, but I don't know if you can see a collection. I know you used to be able to. And part of what I think is keeping you from seeing everybody who's able to do it is their privacy settings, and if you're not friends with them. I think that still figures into this. So I'm not sure right now. And what I'll do though is before we put these materials together, I will look that up and we'll include it in our materials that we send out. So I'll definitely get back to you on that. The create rooms feature on Facebook, is that the other one you were going to mention, Shanika?
From Vicky.
Yeah, from Vicky. Vicky, that's something that I think I'm also going to have to include in the materials as opposed to doing that here. I'll include it in the materials, and we can also talk about it further in the follow-ups. And let me see. I know there are so many things about Facebook pages and about Facebook in general. Let me take a quick look back at the page to see if there's anything that I feel I'm forgetting that jumps out to me. I can mention one thing to you really quickly. You may notice sometimes when you share a post from a website, from your own website, perhaps, that when you first share it, the image that you expect to be attached to your post doesn't show up and it's just blank. And it can be really frustrating. Matter of fact, that happens a lot with email newsletters, whether it's MailChimp or Constant Contact, where if you go and share it and you hit post immediately on your page. You paste the URL in and you hit post. I see Sue Lang, yes. And who liked your pages under settings and people and other pages. And Sue, the one thing I would say is I believe you can see everybody, but I do think there's a chance that people who have their privacy setting in a certain way will not show up in that list for you if people have really tight privacy settings. Again, not 100% certain on that. Okay, sorry, I'm allowing myself to get distracted. When you go to post something and the image doesn't show up, there are two ways to force that image to show up before you post it. And it's important that you do that, because if you post it first, if you go ahead and hit post, it will be cached within the Facebook system without the image, so that when people post it further down the road, it could still be that blank item unless somebody goes and clears the cache, which is something that you know, if you have some sort of developer type login to Facebook, which I do, I can go in and mess with that. Matter of fact, our website platform, we wanted to get around that. So we made it where whenever you create a post or a page, we automatically hit Facebook in the background and say, hey, come scrape this and get this information now before anyone shares it. When it comes to things like MailChimp, Constant Contact, and sharing something, the way to do it is to put that link in, see that it comes up blank. But what you've done is you have started the process of Facebook scraping all of the information, and then they do what's called an asynchronous download of the images. So that means it doesn't happen immediately. What you need to do is before you hit post, reload your page. It's going to say, are you sure you want to leave the page because you had typed something in the box? Go ahead and reload the page and then repaste that URL in there, and the image should show up if there is an image that's connected to it. There are rules on the images. They do need to be of a certain size. And in addition, this is different than the 1200 by 630. I mean, they need to be a minimum size for Facebook to show them on links. You know, so if you're pasting a URL in and the image is 180 pixels square, they're just going to skip it because they want higher quality stuff than that. I'm going to include that in the material, but I know that was a question that somebody had earlier about when they do share something on Facebook, why does it come up blank?
Marcia, how do you get the count of viewers for the videos?
Well, this particular example that I've got here, there's not going to be a whole lot going on, but when we went to post some Genius links and they show up, but the next day they're gone. The videos, again, if we go back into publishing tools, and the thing is, I don't know that this video has any views, and we look in our video library. First of all, this is the post about the video, but I want to go and look in the video library, and you see right here it says views 0. That's the wonderful live video that we did earlier. So that's where you see the views. Know that those views and the stats that they give you are pretty strange. Sometimes they'll count, is it 3 seconds? Is that right, Sarah, that they count as a view or something like that?
I've honestly tried to avoid this a lot.
Yeah, this topic is, you'll be well served not to trust Facebook, generally speaking, and the stats that they give you. It's something they've actually gotten in trouble for in the past, for inflating stats, and they've ruined huge swaths of media by convincing everybody that all this stuff was happening in video, and it wasn't. But with your video views, while the video is playing, you usually get a little eyeball up in the corner if you're the administrator that shows how many people are watching it at that moment in time. Sometimes it's cumulative, how many people have been watching it from the beginning on. So those numbers, there's the 3-second views, there's the 7-second views. They give, if you click in, and there's really nothing to see here, but if you click into the stats, you will get more information than that. But you'll see here peak live viewers, minutes viewed, 1-minute video views, 10-second video views, so on and so forth. Average watch time. This video was not a viral sensation, as you can see. But anyway, that's the sort of information that you get. And then they'll give you some generalized information about your audience and so forth as well.